Every programming language supports operators, characters or sets of characters that execute particular operations. Java, remember, is a C-style language, and it uses the same set of operators as most such languages. If you already know JavaScript or ActionScript, you'll find that the operators in Java are almost identical. Here are some of the types of operators I'll discuss in this video. Assignment operators let you set values. There's a simple assignment operator, and then there are more complex assignment operators that let you combine assignment and math in a single statement. There are equality and relational operators that let you compare values to each other. There are mathematical operators that let you execute common mathematical processes, conditional operators that let you define complex conditional processes, and the ternary operator, which is a special operator I'll describe in a later video when I discuss conditional processing. The most common operator that you'll find yourself using is the assignment operator. The single equals character is the assignment operator. You put the variable you're assigning to on the left and the value on the right. You can assign a literal value, or a value returned from a method, or a reference to a complex object. Regardless of what you're assigning, the single equals operator always is used. The simple math operators are the same as in JavaScript and ActionScript. The plus operator is used for math. So if I start with a value of 10, and I increment it by 5 with the plus operator, I get a value of 15. The dash character is the traditional minus operator. The asterisk is used for multiplication, and the forward slash is division. There's another single character operator worth knowing about, the modulus or remainder operator. Java uses the percent character for this. If you take a value of 10 and you calculate the modulus of 5, that returns a remainder of 0. So those are the 5 primary math operators. You can combine these math operators with assignment too. Once again, starting with an initial value of 10, let's take a look at how you can increment and decrement values. The plus plus operator means add 1. So adding 1 to 10 gives you 11. The minus minus operator goes in the other direction, decrementing by 1, and that would give you a result of 9. Here's how you can combine math operators with assignment. Plus equals means take the current value of this variable and add whatever's on the right side. So int value plus equals 5 would be 15. Int value minus equals 5 would be 5. Times equals 5 equals 50. And slash equals 5 would result in int value having a value of 2. Be aware that when you use the slash equals, you need to make sure that you're assigning a value that matches the data type of the original variable. When you use the increment and decrement operators, you can place them either before or after the variable name. The operational result will be a little bit different depending on the position of the operator. Once again, starting with the value of 10, a postfix operator looks like this, int value plus plus. When you place the plus plus operator after the variable, you're saying first evaluate the variable and then execute the mathematical operation. Because I've wrapped this inside a print line command, I'm going to be outputting a value and changing its value, but you need to know that with this postfix syntax, the evaluation happens first, and only after that does the math happen. The result would be an output of 10, but then after the statement is complete, the new value of the variable would be 11. If you move the plus plus operator before the variable name, that's called a prefix or a unary operation. This would mean do the math, then evaluate the variable. And in this case, the output and the new value would be the same. Java's relational operators, that is, the operators you use to compare values to each other, look exactly as you would expect. You have greater than, less than, greater than or equal, and less than or equal values. There's also a special operator called instance of. It's all lowercase and all one word. You use the instance of operator to determine whether a variable is a member of a particular class. Here's an example. I declare a variable with a data type of string, and I set it to some value. Now, I want to test that variable and ask whether it's an instance of a particular class. Typically, when you use the instance of operator, you refer to the class by its fully qualified string, its package, and its class name. The string class is a member of the java.lang package, so the complete evaluation of s instance of java.lang.string means, is s a string? And if so, then I would output the string that's in the middle of the if clause. One very important thing to know about comparisons is that you can't use the traditional comparison or relational operators when you're working with strings. Let's take a look at this code. There are two strings named S1 and S2. They have identical values of hello. And now I put in some conditional code. I ask the question if S1 equals S2, then output they match, and otherwise output no match. In some languages, such as JavaScript, you would get a match, because in those languages they're comparing the values of the strings. But in Java, a string is a complex object, and with complex objects, the double equals operator is comparing whether they are the same object, not whether they have the same value. And so this evaluation would result in the output no match. If you want to compare two strings, you instead need to use a special method or function of the string class. Here's the correct example. Once again, I'm declaring two strings named S1 and S2. Now, I'm going to use the equals function or method of the string class, and I'm asking whether the values of these two variables match, not whether they're the same object. And this time, the output is they match. With primitive variables, you can use that double equals operator, and you'll be able to match the values to each other. But with complex objects, like the string, you frequently have to use a method of the class to determine whether the values match. Speaking of equality, here's how you compare values when you're working with primitives. The equality operator is a double equals sign. Be sure you're using double equals and not single equals. If you use single equals, you'll be assigning the value and not comparing it. The inequality operator is an exclamation mark and the equal sign. So this syntax is asking if this value is not equal to that. And finally, you can also use the exclamation mark on its own to reverse the value of a Boolean expression. A Boolean expression evaluates to either true or false. When you apply the exclamation mark before it, that reverses the value. If it started as true, it becomes false, and if it started as false, it becomes true. You'll hear some developers refer to the exclamation mark as the bang character, B-A-N-G. And so if they were reading this code, it would be if bang this, then do something. Regardless of whether you call it bang or the exclamation, it reverses the logic, changing a Boolean value from true to false or vice versa. Here are some conditional operators that you can use in complex logical operations. The double ampersand is conditional AND. In this code, the output would only happen if both this and that are true. You can also do a conditional OR using the double pipe character. In this code, the output is going to happen if either of those variables equates to true. I'll show you more about how to combine these conditional operators with various types of conditional expressions in later videos. But you should now have a good sense of the kinds of operators that are available in Java and how similar they are to other C-style languages.